Hey, how does that look to you? Pork loin? That's a pork tenderloin. Ancho chili sauce. Asparagus dredged in butter with homemade mashed potatoes. Good, creamy, smooth mashed potatoes. Now, want to learn how to make that? Want to know how to do it quick and easy so it doesn't kill you? Okay, that's what I'm going to show you right here, right now. This is a beautiful dish that everybody should know how to make. Okay, today we're going to be doing a chili pepper sauce. These are Ancho chilies, some dried ones. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a sauce out of these little guys. Now what this is right here, this is one of those large green poblano peppers. They have been ripened and allowed to dry, and they make these. Now these things are great because they have a certain robust flavor to them. And when they're rehydrated, they can be turned into a wonderful sauce. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to soak these in water until they become soft and pulpy. Then we will place them in this food mill. I'm going to take this and I'm going to cook it down until it is nice and soft also. A little bit sugary too. I want that kind of sweet, so I'll caramelize it slightly. Now, a little garlic also. We're going to run all of this, once these are cooked, once this has been soaked, through this food mill, and then we're going to cook that once again, the sauce. I'll add some water to it to thin it out at that point. Anyway, this is how we're going to make a chili sauce, and this is great if you're making enchiladas. If you're going to make something that you just want a chili sauce over the top of, this is real chili sauce, folks, and this is the way we're going to do it today. So I'll take you through this step by step. Next comes the soaking. Okay, I have a bowl filled with warm water. Now I'm going to take my chilies and I want to make a slice in these. Okay, you want to just slice it a couple of times. That way water will get down inside of it. When the water gets inside and contacts the pulp that's inside of this, it'll start rehydrating. It gets nice and soft. Now the food mill that I have, we'll take that and we're going to run these through it once they are soft and pulpy. Now that will remove all of these seeds and the skin, everything. It'll leave me with just the inside pulp, and that's exactly what we want. So that's going to take that a couple hours to soak. We're going to give those about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Alright, now we have given these chilies about a half an hour now, maybe a little bit more. They have puffed up really nice. See this? They're getting large, starting to look like those poblanos in their shape. Look at that. Now this is what we want. We want it to get thick and puffy. But we also want the meat on the inside to finish puffing up. So even though this is getting close, it's not quite there. And those are some of the cuts I made. They're just gaping gashes now, and that's fine. It won't matter because it's going to be put through a food mill. There won't be any of these seeds that you see here in the water. None of that. And all of the skin will be kept behind in the food mill also. Now, in addition to doing this, we're also about to take some fresh onion. Remember that red onion you saw here? Okay, I've cut that up. Doesn't have to be a pretty job of cutting either, because you're going to put it through the food mill. But first we need to go ahead and cook it. We're going to sweat it a little bit and then also caramelize it some so I get some black in there, and it'll sweeten these onions. And the sweetness of this onion and the flavor of it mixed with these chilies is going to really help things pop. And then to bring things back a little bit better and stabilize it out some, we're going to be putting some garlic in there for that flavor. Alright? Now, I'm going to get to cooking down the onion while these finish soaking. Just wanted to let you see what it kind of looks like as they go. We're about halfway home. Alright, now I've got my onion over here. We've got a full flame underneath that. I'm just going to put a little bit of olive oil in it. Make sure you're using extra virgin olive oil. There we go. Now, the reason I'm cooking the onion, actually two reasons. I want to soften it so it'll work through the food mill just a little bit easier. But also, I want the onions to become sweet. This sauce is really going to take off when it has a sweet side to it. And this is the way to do it and get that natural sweetness in it, so I don't have to be putting sugar in it. Okay, now there's a lot of stuff this is going to can go on. Now today I'm going to be fixing this particular sauce for the sole purpose of putting it on some pork tenderloin, and I'll be taking that pork tenderloin, grilling it. There we go. When the pork tenderloin has been cooked up nice and slow out on the grill, and there'll be a little smoke there to give it a smoky flavor, then I'll slice that and cover it with that Ancho chili sauce, and that's just going to be the bomb. Put that with some fresh mashed potatoes. There we go. We got some fresh potatoes here. We cut those up, and some asparagus. I'll dredge those in butter. Well, we're just getting lunch started. Here we go. Okay, now I've soaked my chilies long enough now. I'm going to take these. Now if you'll notice, I put them in a different bowl. And I've kept some of the water. I'm going to use that water in the sauce in a little while. It's filled with flavor. I might as well. Now let's just take the chili and break it apart like so, and drop it right down into the food mill. Seeds, everything. The stem doesn't have to go in there, of course, because it doesn't really contain anything you want. You get all of the skin in there. There we go. If you notice, they've gotten really soft and pulpy. That's just the way you want them. Now I've had these in here for about an hour. I'm going to start with 2 chilies in my food mill. This is such a handy way to produce sauce from these type of chilies. If you know, see this that's on my fingers behind here? That's that pulp. Alright? So let me rinse that real quick and I'll get at this. Now keep yourself a little spatula handy when you're doing this, a little rubber one. All you have to do is just take this and crank that paddle. Now in the bottom of a food mill like this, there's just a simple little plate that's got some tiny holes punched in it. They're kind of rough on one side and smooth on the other. And then there's a little paddle down inside of there. You see that? And it pushes it down through the little holes in the bottom. You see that paste on the bottom there? That's what we're looking for. Right there. See that? And you can see the little holes there. There we go. That's perfect. That's the stuff we want. That's absolutely gorgeous looking. So, I'm going to do this, and I'm also going to take some onion that I have, a little bit of garlic. I sliced up some of that garlic. I'm going to put some of that right down in there too. That onion that's been caramelized and sweated. Oh, wonderful. We'll run that through the food mill also. And the beauty of that is just going to impart all of its flavor right into the sauce. This is a great way to do sauces. If you've never done it, give one of these things a try. Okay, I'm going to have this thing done in about, it takes about 5 to 8 minutes to run all of this through here. And when I'm finished with that, I'll put it in a small pot and we're going to cook it up. Okay, I have finished producing the Ancho paste. Now I wanted to show you this. You see on the inside here, it's just a bunch of seeds and dry skins that's left over. Best way to remove that stuff. Okay. Now, down here in my bowl, I have, look at all that, just a big old batch of chili paste. See there? Real nice. Perfect for making anything that you want that's chili flavor. Okay. This one, of course, as you saw, I did the onion with it and some garlic, so it's all flavored up with onion and garlic. Now all I have to do is just put this on the stove in a pan, add in some extra water to turn it into a sauce. It'll cook up real nice and pretty. Okay? And this will absorb a lot of water. Okay? Everything in that bowl plus probably just a little bit more. And what I have there in the way of paste, that's maybe 3/4 of a cup of paste, chili paste. Okay? 4 chilies, 1 onion, and a couple of cloves of garlic. Okay, now I said that we were going to put that chili sauce with a pork tenderloin, and that's exactly what I have here. I've gone ahead and put some salt and pepper on this. I'm going to take it downstairs and put it directly onto a hot grill. Now I have a 4-burner gas grill that I'm using for this, and I turn 2 of those burners on, just one side of it. I will let it preheat, and that way I can get a good sear when I first put this down. After I sear it for about 5 minutes on each side, then I will reduce the heat in that grill down to about a medium-low. I'm going to cover it and just let it sit there and slow cook. Now, if it starts to cook a little too much on one side, of course remember to turn it about every 10 minutes. And if it gets a little bit too hot in there, reduce the heat even further to low, and then you can also use the upper grate if you have one in your grill. Okay? So that's what this is going to get, and it'll be out there for about 40 minutes. Okay? Real simple. Alright, we're getting a little asparagus ready for our meal. Now let me show you something about asparagus that you may not have already known. If you ever cook asparagus, you'll notice that the end down here where it was cut from, it's often very fibrous and difficult to eat. So most people try cutting that. Let me show you a trick. You don't really have to cut it, and it will break at exactly the right point. If you'll simply flex that asparagus, it'll snap off where it's going to be tender automatically for you. That's all you have to do. Just sit there and flex it. The bad part will snap off, the good part will be left behind. That's how you know. Isn't that simple? Enjoy it. See that piece there? Fibrous all the way through except for there. What do you know? Okay. I'm going to have some good asparagus with that meal. Okay, now we have everything on the stove. We have our Ancho chili sauce cooking. I want this to come out with the consistency of about spaghetti sauce. Okay? Something on that level. Now, on the potatoes, these are just starting to come up to temperature and start to boil. These, if you'll notice the size of the cut that I make on the potatoes, and that is when you're doing skin on in mashed potatoes, you definitely want to have some smaller pieces of skin in there. Somebody doesn't want to get a big old gob of skin in their mashed potatoes, just little bits. And that's what makes it really nice and home style. Okay, now I'm going to cook these until the point that I can take a fork and I push the fork in there, it will slide in gently and it breaks the potato open. Okay, so cook it to that point, and when they get there, that doesn't take too very long, we'll add in our extra ingredients like the butter and salt, a little bit of sour cream, some things like that, just to jazz them up. Okay, our Ancho chili sauce is coming along really nice. It is lacking though, so I'm going to add some acidity to it in the form of some lime juice. Okay, and that right there was about 1.5 tablespoons. Now also it needs a little bit of salt. It's a bit, like I said, it's lacking. And that will pull those flavors right up to the surface. We'll just let it simmer a little bit more. It'll come out just fine. Okay, we have our potatoes boiling. Now we're going to do a test on the potatoes. Like I said, I'm going to show you how to make sure those potatoes are done by pushing into them with a fork. Now I'm going to take my fork and push it into this. You see how the potato stays on the fork? Well, that means that sucker's not done. Okay? The potato should have just busted right in half. Let it cook. Now I've turned my meat down to low. I seared it on high for about 5 minutes on each side, and I've now turned it down to low, and it's just going to kind of sit out there for about the next 30 minutes on low, and I'll turn it about every 10 minutes. Okay? Well, this will be done, looks like another 30 minutes. I'm going to have lunch. Okay, now it's time to check our potatoes again. See how those are coming along. Let's see if they're getting any more tender. Okay, I'm starting to see some of the skins breaking away from the potatoes. Let's see here. Push my fork into it and look at that, it just busted right in half. Okay, guess what? Those potatoes are done. Turn off the heat. In just a little bit I'm going to drain these and we're going to run them with some butter, a little sour cream and some salt, and I'll run through it with a hand blender. Really interesting and neat way of doing mashed potatoes. It's quick and it makes them smooth and creamy. Okay, we have 10 minutes left on the pork loin, and it's now time to start the asparagus. Now what I'm trying to do here is to show you how we time things out. So when you're having a family meal, this is kind of country cooking, very basic. When you're timing things out, you don't want to cook your asparagus early on in the meal, because then it's going to either be overcooked or it's going to be cold. So 10 minutes left on the roast. I've just now started this. It'll come up to a boil in about 5 minutes. I'm going to take the roast off in 10. The roast needs to rest for 5 to 7 minutes before slicing. See how it all times out? And the potatoes, they're still sitting in their water. There's no flame under them. I'm about to drain them right now and go ahead and use my hand blender. Okay, now I am putting the butter in the potatoes. I've already drained them of their water. And I'm using a little over a half a stick of butter here. Now, you're wondering how many potatoes. Well, potatoes come in all kinds of different sizes. But that right there looks like about 4 cups boiled potatoes to me. Okay? Now, salt. Potatoes are salt thirsty, so give it plenty. It'll be alright, and it'll taste real good. Now, I'm going to start the hand blender. If you'll notice, I have not put in my sour cream yet. I'm not going to do that until right near the end. Just breaking up the larger lumps right now. Now, look how quick that is. Alright? That's the reason I use a hand blender. I recommend trying that sometime if you've never done it before. Alright. Let's break out some sour cream here. One big dollop. 2 big dollops. You see how we cook? And a little bit more. So, just that simple. Don't make it too hard. And you want to do this just until the potatoes become smooth. No more. If you overwork your potatoes, they're going to get stiff on you. Break them down just till they're broken down. There, look. Smooth, creamy mashed potatoes. Nice and fluffy. That's what I'm going with right there. Okay. That's how you do your mashed potatoes. These will hold heat really well. So, for the next 5 to 10 minutes, cover it. They're going to be just fine. Okay. Well, we're taking a look at our asparagus. Now, how do you know if that asparagus is done? Okay. Well, real simple. Take you a fork, press it in. Does the asparagus feel firm or tender? Okay. If your fork slides in easy, they're tender. These are just now getting tender, okay? And they've been on here for about 7, maybe 8 minutes. I wouldn't want to cook these for more than another minute to 2 minutes, because then they will get too tender. Okay? Alright, we have our meat in. It has rested for about 5 minutes. Now, you remember that lovely cut of meat? You see how I seared it all the way around? Nice and pretty. We're going to take that and we're going to slice it up nice and pretty. Okay? It's a nice way of doing a roast like this. Crust is a little bit firm. That's alright, because the meat underneath is nice and juicy, just the way we wanted it. Good and steamy and juicy and pretty looking. Alright. So, if some of this breaks apart, don't worry about that. There we go. So, anyway, we have our pork loin dinner here. This is going to be really good. And there we have it. One simple meal fit for a king. We have our pork loin with chili sauce, mashed potatoes, and these beautiful asparagus. Isn't that gorgeous?